Well, welcome along to the streets of Detroit, Michigan, as we're here for the now defunct circuit known as the Belle Isle Grand Prix, or here for the Just Two Idiots Cup Series. It's the penultimate round here at the, hopefully me and the safety car can make turn one, the DGP, sponsored by Simply Steve, and you're watching this live and uninterrupted on the JP Broadcasting Network. My name's Alex Goldschmidt. Going to be joined in the booth by Chris Murphy, who's also doing double duty as our colour announcer, along with being the man controlling the cameras, bringing you the pictures in wonderful sound vision. And with 2 rounds to go, we've got the 90-minute champions run at Mount Panorama next week. Let's have a look at the scores on the doors. Well, Sean Dickinson is leading the way by a massive 62 points ahead of Hayden Fowler. And with that, Joshua Spears, Sean Dickinson's teammate, is rounding out the top 3. Now, the big thing is we've had the update through Season 13 and now into Season 4 here on iRacing. So Sean Dickinson and Joshua Spears have now switched from Mustang to Munich Power. They've gone with the BMW M4 these days. Tyler Gischel and Corey Godwin round out the top 5. Stephen Lichotta, Jason Winokur, Joe Albanese, Amanda Hoare, and then we've got Zachary Krez rounding out the top 10. Zachary Brooker, Jennifer McDonald, Eric Fox, Ed Smith and Justin Wiley round out your top 15 in the standings overall. But looking over at the teams, it's SimCity Racing. Pretty much have nigh on wrapped up things. They will pretty much do it here at Belle Isle. The SimCity Racing pairing of 488 points there, 137 out of Night Racing Blue. Iron Bros on 282, still have a chance of the runner-up step. Head of P1 Racing by a mere 4 points. Not actually Bob Racing, a further 37 points adrift, ran out the top 5, followed by Daddy's Daycare. Team FX, Love Seat, Bong Life Motorsport and Speed Squad round out your top 10 in the standings for the teams at the moment. And with that, a very big hello to Chris Murphy. Chris, how are you? It's good to have J2ICS back on JPB, and this circuit that has been in use for NTT IndyCar, IMSA WeatherTech, unfortunately came to a sudden, an abrupt end back in 2022. But this 2.36 kilometre, or 2.36 mile clockwise 14 corner circuit is going to be a tough one for our drivers here tonight at round 9.
Yeah, tough track here in Detroit. How you doing tonight, Alex? Welcome, or should I say good morning to you? But yeah,
Yes.
Detroit Belle, really tight racetrack, 14 turns, only 2 long straightaways and plenty of walls, really tight. Going to be tough for passing chances are going to be limited. Look for some late dives into turn 3 and 7. I think that's going to be the best chance for some passing opportunities here tonight.
I've even seen passes going from turn 14 to turn 1, Chris. So we could be in for some very, very close door-to-door action for the 60-minute race here. Of course, the J2ICS GT3 Sprint Championship, proudly sponsored by Parabolic Companies, who don't just invest in real estate, they build momentum. They're from revitalizing neighborhoods to powering progress through innovative development. Our mission is to create lasting impact every community we touch, whether it's laying foundations or backing fierce competition on the virtual track. Parabolic brings precision, passion, and performance. Parabolic Companies, grounded in growth, driven to win. A big thank you to Parabolic Construction on board for this season. There's been a little bit of a break, but in terms of, I know that the drivers were competing on the Roval, and then we've got quite a few of the usual suspects. We've got a plethora of GT3 machinery from Lamborghini, BMW, McLaren, Ford, Corvette, Aston Martin now makes its debut in the series, Acura, Audi, and Porsche may be doing Porsche things here, Chris. I mean, the 992 GT3R is a stalwart on a circuit like this, where it's got that rear-mounted flat 6 boxer engine that really shrills through the rev range. But then you've got a stalwart like the Z06 GT3, of course, now with GM getting really invested into its, not just its sports cars, but also through its branding through Cadillac, now signing Sergio Perez and Valtteri Bottas for the 11th team to join Formula One next season. it's rather exciting times for one of the big three in the USA when it comes to car makers.
Yeah, looking forward to that. You know, usually you talked about Porsche here at Detroit. Usually our top Porsche driver here for the JT-ICS is Bob Nova. Bob Nova, unfortunately, not able to make the race here tonight. And as we look at qualifying right now, Squilliam, the lone Lamborghini in the field, on the point. But we're taking a look here at Sean Dickinson, our point leader right now, and the leader of the Sim City Racing. He's on his. He's got a few more laps here left to go. I expect Sean to be up here to the front before this is over with.
Yeah. Earlier on in the season, I think it was round 4 at the Roval, qualifying changed from 15 to 20 minutes as Sean Dickinson in the number 64 BMW. He's currently in the 6th spot, and he's on his 4th lap in qualifying. So Squilliam currently leading the way on a 1 minute 28.122, just under 2/10 quicker than Joshua Spears. Notovin in the Corvette has put it on the inside of the 2nd row with Simply Steve in the number 23 McLaren, Prince Adam, and this man here, Sean Dickinson, doing a really good job. They're rounding out the top 6. Pretty close, compact field at the moment with Zach in the number 73 McLaren 720S rounding out the top 13. We're going to see speeds of around about 145 to 150 miles an hour, especially on that run coming out of turns 1 and 2, which Sean Dickinson is making his way through now. And so out of that corner, you can see how close the wall is going to be. We've seen already Squilliam actually tangle with the barriers coming out of turn 2, and that can knock the steering and the suspension geometry on the right hand side pretty quickly out of balance. And more to the point, it is going to be the case of you've got to pick your moments here at Belle Isle, and obviously from a racer's perspective, Chris, you've got to be very, very much keeping the car as close to those walls as you dare, like we've just seen Sean Dickinson do now. But it is about those millimeters of difference that could be all the difference from you getting through at let's say at turn 2, and hitting the barrier hard and ending up towing to the garage.
Yeah, a track like Belle Isle is tight street circuit like this is a combination of patience and aggressiveness. You have to be patient, not try to force the issue, but when that hole opens up in front of you, you've got to be aggressive enough to dive in there and take advantage of it. So we're going to see who can find their way to the front here, who can stay out in front. We're going to have at least one pit stop throughout this race. Don't really expect tire changes, but they definitely have to stop at least once for fuel. So we'll see who plans that strategy the best, who comes in at the right time and takes advantage of that.
Yeah, I mean, we got some inside information before we went live earlier on today, folks, that Tijish in the Mustang GT3 was running pretty well in that car, and Spook Dubs, who's been in the Aston Martin and is the sole Aston Martin on this grid, who's put it P8 here in qualifying, looked pretty racy, but Squilliam has set the fastest lap time, not just in qualifying, but is about half a second off of his pace in the final sort of stint, if you will. It did a 1:27.55, but this is going to be quite crucial as Sean Dickinson has put it on provisional pole by 42 thousandths of a second. Dickinson now looking. Now, if he takes the W here tonight, Chris, he basically wraps up this season of the J2ICS GT3 Sprint Championship with 1 to spare. When we go to New South Wales, we go to the home of the Liqui Moly 12 Hours, Mount Panorama at Bathurst, and it's going to be a crown jewel 90-minute Champions Pick event. Now, it's going to be a 6.2 kilometre circuit that's going to have half of it being at full throttle. So we're going to have a very different couple of final circuits to round out this 11th season in GT3. But Cat Daddy in that, well, that's a heck of a paint job on the 69 Porsche. I mean, can't exactly miss that.
Yeah, Sean, like you said, if he can stay, probably even finish anywhere in the top 3 tonight would give him the lock on the championship. Heck, he can even avoid that long trip across the ocean over to Australia if he wanted to. But if I know Sean, even if he wins it tonight, he's gonna show up for Bathurst. But yeah,
definitely. So, go on.
no,
Sorry,
no, you go right ahead.
I think, well, Cat Daddy's got to try and improve. Is now on 5th lap in qualifying at the moment, and that is going to be Jason Winecki from Bong Life Motorsport, I believe. So you can just see how creative liveries can be here on the iRacing server. But we've got just under 30 seconds until we go to the checkered here at Belle Isle. Of course, we've had the Nürburgring Grand Prix, Navarra, Interlagos, Charlotte at the Roval. We had the Daytona road course, Skogan in Norway, good old Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit, and then last time out it was Sebring. But Sean Dickinson has won 5 of the 8 races so far. He's had 8 straight pole positions, and he's looking good for a 9th. And he actually improved. He went sub 1 minute 28. He put down a 27.994. The checkered is out, and that concludes our qualifying session.
I think what we're gonna do here, Alex. I'm looking at the stream, and it is not. It's a little glitchy, so I'm gonna pause. We're gonna take a. Well, they're warming up here. And we are back.
So, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are in the warm-up stages of the penultimate round of the Just Two Idiots Cup Series, brought to you in association with Parabolic Companies. You join myself, Alex Goldschmidt, and Chris Murphy, your announcing team. And here are the results. It's going to be Sean Dickinson that puts it on pole position for the 9th time. It is 9 straight poles for the man from Sim City Racing. Squilliam and Joshua Spears ran out the top 3. Nodovin, Simply Steve and Prince Adam ran out the top 6. We've got Tejish, Spook Dubs, Pancakes. Then we've also got, I think it's
Eat My Dust, I think that's supposed to be.
Eat My Dust, yeah. One of our only Norwegian on the grid in the McLaren, rounding out the top 10. Not a Super at 86. Then we've got Jen, Sassy, Zach, Cat Daddy, rounding out the top 15, covered by just over 1.5 seconds after that 20-minute qualifying session. Then it's Sector, Beaver, Corn Dog, Yomega, Garlic Dog, and Carido that round out the next batch of drivers down to 21st, 2.8 seconds separating the field. But, well, 60 minutes. It is going to be a tall order for these drivers around this particular circuit. It started, opened back in 1992 and has, as you can see, a lot of changes around it in terms of the tarmac. And that could also be another thing that the drivers are going to have to contend with here, Chris, is more to the point, tyre abrasion. That's one thing. It's one of those circuits that could prove to be a little bit difficult when it comes to deciding, when I pit, does that car go on a brand new 4 set of boots? That's one of the things the driver's going to have to think about tonight, because it can be abrasive here at Belle Isle.
Yeah, the insight we got earlier was they don't think they're going to have to pit, but you know, we haven't looked at the weather yet. Let's take a look and see how warm it is here in Detroit. 23 degrees Celsius. That could have, you know, that could add a lot to the tire wear. And the one thing about the street circuit like this is you're changing back and forth from concrete to pavement, little transitions, and this is not a smooth racetrack. It is very rough, as you can see Squilliam here coming down, bouncing over there, coming off the corner there. So you're right. I think it's going to depend on, you know, who takes a chance and puts tires on. Can they make it to the end? And just who plays the right strategy.
Yeah, it's it's like at the blackjack table. Are you going to roll lucky number 7, or are you going to roll snake eyes? But as you can see, 33-degree track temperature as well. So that is also going to add to the abrasiveness. Humidity 53%, whether that increases, but there's minimal wind around the circuit, so maybe that could be something that the drivers will have to consider. If the wind picks up, then we could have further dramas inbound, but sometimes it doesn't always it doesn't always happen that the wind is going to give you either a tailwind or or a crosswind or even a headwind, depending on where you are out on the circuit. So it is going to be about the driver's skills, and more to the point, they are going to be challenged by this track. And of course, the pit stops, we all know, Chris, are going to be incredibly, incredibly crucial here at Belle Isle, because you've got to leave no stone unturned. You've got to put it all on the line, and especially if certain Mr. Sean Dickinson, if he picks up that top 3 finish, that's it. It's all she wrote, and everyone is going to be battling for the scraps from the barbecue that everyone's been cooking up every evening so far in the hot conditions during the summertime.
Yeah, sorry, I'm a little distracted looking at the stream here again. So we're trying to make some. I know the quality's not where we want to be. Appreciate your patience out there. Hey, Penny, good to see you again this week. Rooting Sean on. We're trying to make some adjustments here to improve it for you, but yeah, looking forward to a good race here. I just hope we can bring it to you in the quality you guys deserve out there. So we're getting ready, lined up here on the grid.
So it's going to be our Porsche pace car that's going to start things off. It's going to be 60 minutes around this just over 2.35 mile circuit, clockwise direction. 5 turns to the left, 9 to the right. And can Sean Dickinson from Sim City Racing wrap up the title for the drivers? And can he and teammate Joshua Spears, who's behind him on the 3rd spot on the grid, can they wrap up the team's title tonight? And then it will be a free-for-all. It will be all the stress will be gone, and everyone will just be out for a blaze of glory at Mount Panorama at Bathurst, New South Wales, for the 90-minute Crown Jewel Champions pick that will conclude season number 11 as Sean Dickinson gets himself ready and squared away. Squilliam in the Soul Lamborghini, the 5.2 litre naturally aspirated V10 Raging Bull from Sant'Agata Bolognese. It is going to be the case that when the pace car pulls in and dives into pit lane, we will be under starters' orders, and then it will be down to Dickinson and Squilliam to control the pace. 60 minutes. What will happen here on the straight? These things can change, and the Lamborghini is in the pit lane. But more to the point, Dickinson has got that early advantage. Meantime, well, Joshua Spears has tumbled to the bottom of the order, so he's got to start fighting back. But more to the point, it's Notovin that has taken advantage of the situation, now up into P2 in the Corvette, and Dickinson is leading us at this early stage of this race. But it was all a point here, Chris, that it was about getting through that opening corner, and unfortunately, well, Joshua Spears and Squilliam quickly got eliminated from proceedings within the first couple of moments of the race, within the first few seconds thereof.
Yeah, unfortunate there for Squilliam and for Joshua Spears. So that's going to put Notovin right there in second behind Dickinson. It's going to be his closest challenger.
So we are seeing a few other drivers. T-Jish in the 97 Mustang in pit road. Joshua Spears in pit road. Squilliam in pit road. But it is now the case if Dickinson has a clear track in front of him. And after the opening lap, they are pretty straightforward that the BMW is like putty in the hands of the man who is one top 3 finish away from securing the season 11 title. And the big thing was, well, it just goes to show that straight away when you have a drama at turn 1 at Belle Isle, and it's happened over the years of the NTT IndyCar Series along with the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship. As you rightly said, Chris, those barriers are so close, and we've seen it time and time again over the years in real life, and we've just seen a perfect example of what can go absolutely wrong at turn 1. And I don't think Squilliam's going to be out of that pit lane anytime soon, as the Aston Martin has a little bit of a glance on the wall as they are firing their way through turns 13 and 14. It's a very deceptive final part of the racetrack where come through turn 12, you're on the power, and you're trying to rotate the car through turn number 13, as there is the number 24 car trying to stay in 5th position at the moment. That's Empty Dust from Norway, and has got not a Super 86 in the sister McLaren not too far behind. But at this point in time, Sean Dickinson has opened up a lead of just over 1.3 seconds in this early stage, and looks rather comfortable in the BMW. Looked rather settled in qualifying too, I must have. So Empty Dust in the number 24 rounds out the top 5, but you know, Chris, we are seeing these drivers really flirt with the barriers. I mean, you've got Spook Dubs just behind in 7th, Pancakes, Zach, and Beaver from the Love Seat team running out the top 10. These drivers are so incredibly closely packed. But I think what we have to admit here is that Sean Dickinson knew that for being on the best position here at Belle Isle, it was to put it on pole, and he did exactly that. Oh, and that's a big old hit on the wall. That was by, I think that was Zach in the 73 Mustang, just behind Pancakes in the 481. That was a hard clip, and Zach running with, oh, now that's a drink we see in Scotland and also the United Kingdom, good old Iron Brew. It's a bit of an acquired taste, I must admit, folks, but it is a drink that I do actually like when I get the opportunity to buy a bottle when I catch a flight to wherever I'm travelling
another
to
hit
in
there.
the world. And again, look, he's done it again. Zach has just tagged that wall big time, and at this particular point, you've got to be wondering how much out of alignment that car has had its alignment knocked out, to be honest with you. But he is still keeping up with Pancakes, and Pancakes in the 481 BMW doing a pretty good job to hold on to that 8th spot.
Yeah, Zach, over the last few weeks, Zach's been pretty much the king of defense, but on the offense right here, trying to find a way around Pancakes, move up in that 8th position. So Zach started back in 14th, up 5 spots to 9th. Trying to get one more spot. He's been bouncing off the wall a few times, but it doesn't look like it's hurt him too bad. He's still got some pretty good pace right there.
Yeah, but the bouncing off the wall is something I'm a bit concerned about, because that's going to be scraping paintwork off that car, and more to the point, that is going to do internal damage. I mean, you know, that's 3 times within the last 90 seconds that Zach has slam dunked the wall, and I mean that in a literal sense, because you see the dust come flying off the concrete walls, and Zach's very lucky that he's not hitting it too hard, because if he hit it any harder, he'd be playing a meaner pinball than Roger Daltrey from The Who.
Nice reference there, Pinball Wizard. So that was...
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. It's got to be done. It's got to be done, my friend. It's got to be done. But it's just a case of, I said that with some people, they're going to have to put it a little bit more on the line, and I think Zach is on the borderline of going over that limitation. But in the meantime, Sean Dickinson is still comfortably leading, but Nodovin's
closed in.
Yeah, he's closed that. Nodovin's closed that gap up to 1.1 seconds, and has just done a mid 28.0 on lap 4 of this race. So that Corvette's got a little bit of pace underneath it, but Dickinson just responds and does the new fastest lap of the race of 27.966. So Nodovin doing a really good job here to try and keep Dickinson very, very honest. Simply Steve is now running P3. Now, in the meantime, Joshua Spears is running all the way down in 22nd position. Nice to see Simply Steve from the Speed Squad with the Simucube logo on the side. There's Joshua Spears behind the Mustang of T-Jish in the number 97. And that is the battle for 21st. Looks like T-Jish's car looks a bit more like body in white, and that is an automotive reference term, folks, mainly because of the fact of that when your car gets built. If you order a new car from your local dealer, the first thing that the car gets dipped in is like an electrode solution that gets the paint onto it, and then the primer is put on, which is white. Oh, dive and a half there from Zach on Pancakes, and Pancakes retakes the position.
And here comes
This is
Beaver.
allowing, yeah, Beaver getting stuck in there as well in the Acura, and has made up 7 spots. Biggest mover so far in this race. So effectively, Pancakes has become the cork in the bottle here. So you've got Pancake, Zach, Beaver, Jen, Sector. I think you've also got Sassy and Cat Daddy in that very not too far behind. But Zach has got to try and get through on Pancakes, and if he can, Zach can then catch up to the only Aston Martin as Spook Dobbs just out of shot there as we ride on board with Zach in the number 73 Iron Brew liveried 720S GT3 Evo. And you could just see from this driver's view, folks, how cramped, how close the walls are in comparison with the cars. And Zach has had more than his fair share of exchanges with the walls so far, but we're not even. We're close to 1/6 of the time completed here at this penultimate round out of season number 11. We've got one more round to go at Mount Panorama just next week, which will be a crown jewel, 90-minute event and a champions pick. And that is going to provide an even bigger test for the drivers. That is the home of the Liquimolly 12 hours that's part of the SRO Intercontinental GT Challenge that always kicks off the endurance season early part of the year, like 5 in the morning. But Pancakes being put under pressure by Zach at the moment, and Beaver is there waiting in the wings to pick up the pieces of these two having slightly coming together. But I have to say, Pancakes doing a really, really solid defensive job here, Chris.
Oh, definitely.
Pancakes is not wanting to relinquish that position.
Yeah, definitely. Zach definitely with some more pace over Pancakes right there. But Pancakes putting that car in the exact same spot, right spot where it needs to be every corner. Zach did get that big dive into turn 7 about a lap ago, but not able to do it this time. And actually he's losing some ground right here. And Beaver's doing a good job this week. Beaver, once again, is moving up through the field every week. It seems like he struggles in qualifying, but finds his way towards the front. Again, tonight started back in 17th, already up 7 spots up to 10th. So Beaver once again moving up through the field and taking a look to the inside of Zach right there. He's going to have to settle back into that 10th position.
Yeah, and so still with this in mind, these drivers have got a long road, and now the headlights start lighting up on the front of some of the cars, including Zach, including Beaver in the McLaren and the Acura. And just having a look, I thought there was a little bit of rear end damage to the back bumper panel of Sean Dickinson, but no, it's just the livery that's sort of putting my eyes to work there a little bit. But Donovan still keeping in pace with the championship leader in the driver's standings. I think even if Joshua Spears finishes where he does now, he's currently now up into 20th, having finally got past T-Jish in the Ford Mustang GT3. Of course, everyone's been raving about the new road-going version of that car, the GTD, that has just been released and has been shown by many an automotive YouTuber or influencer thereof. But I think one of the best interviews with regards to that car quite recently, 4-time Formula One world champion Max Verstappen going along for a ride in it with Chris Harris, one of my favourite automotive journalists when it comes to YouTubing. I think him and Jason Camisa are my 2 favourite automotive journalists when it comes to telling a story. And if anyone does not know who Jason Camisa is, you need to look that guy up. He's a true treasure, along with Chris Harris. Might be from 2 sides of the Atlantic, but they both have the same kind of idea of when they want to put a story across. Nevertheless, Sassy, the teammate of Zach, in the number 55 Iron Brew livery McLaren, has got some work to do and has got 2 Chevys in front. That Sector in the 95, he's made up 4 spots from the 16th starting position on the grid. And now Jen in the number 99 Corvette. So 3 Corvettes running in the top 12. And yeah, I think the Corvettes seem to be pretty good around here at the moment. We're seeing with with Nosovin in second position behind Dickinson for the lead, pretty much matching the BMW on times at the moment here, Chris, as there are some really, really fast and frantic battles around the streets of Belle Isle, Detroit.
Yeah, not even doing a good job holding pace there with Dickinson. I thought once Dickinson got some clean air with with Squilliam and Joshua Spears out of the picture, I thought Dickinson might start to pull away a little bit, but Donovan's doing a great job keeping up pace in that Corvette. He's looking to pick up his second win after grabbing the win last outing at Sebring.
Yep. And there we see some really close shots. Here goes Beaver, deep on the brakes.
Oh, he's going to miss it.
Just overcooks it. Oh, Beaver's just had to use the runoff area straight away. It was going to be a case of unstoppable force versus immovable object.
He's trying to get going there.
That's the worst place to have a 3-point turn.
Let's go back and take a quick look at that. Let's back up here just a little bit. One more time. There we go. Takes a deep run. Yeah, just no way he was going to get stopped right there. He went in deep trying to get that run on Zach and just could not get the brakes hard enough. Unfortunate for Beaver.
Yeah, and, well, insult to injury, Beaver has just returned to garage, I'm afraid, folks, and is in pit road. So that's going to be a real big drama. But Squilliam, after that turn 1, lap 1 incident, wonder how that's going to be looked at after the race itself. But still, Pancakes having to make that BMW as wide as humanly possible. She's got Pancakes has got Zach chasing the 481 Beamer down as they go through into turn 1, into 2. Be careful of the outside wall as they've got the run down, and it's one of the longest straightaways. I mean, you can see now that Zach, well, a little bit further back, I think we've got Sassy and Sector battling away. That is for 11th on the road, and Sector at one point was to the right-hand side of Sassy coming down the straightaway heading into turn 3, and Sector unable in the number 95 Corvette to try and get through on the McLaren. But again, we're seeing that you've just got to be on your best behavior here at Belle Isle here, Chris, because we are just seeing how difficult it can be, especially when you try and put the traction down coming out of corner, and you know about this when it comes to throttle and brake manipulation. When you're thinking like, do I gun it? Do I gun it? No, not quite, not quite, not quite. Now, got to really sort of brain and foot have to be in synchronicity when that happens.
Yeah, especially on these street circuits like this, they're going to be greasy. There's not going to be a lot of rubber to lay down on these tracks, until they get out here to put some more laps down. So, you got to be a little bit easier into the throttle. Maybe later on in the race, if you can get some new tires on, but later on in the race, you get some rubber laid down, might give you a little bit more traction. But then you get to that point when your tires are wore out. So, yeah, you're 100% right. You've got to, when I started racing way back in the day, it was described to me as you had to treat the throttle like there was an egg underneath of it, and you just wanted to ease into that throttle, and that's what you're seeing these guys do here, especially in some of these really tight corners here at Belle Isle.
Yeah, and that's going to be one of the big things here, that these drivers have to be on their A game. Mount Panorama is going to be a slightly different affair. There's going to be a little bit more runoff area, a bit more gravel, but still those barriers will be very, very close. As again, Zach's, you can see all the scuff marks on the left rear quarter panel just above the wheel arch where he's tagged the wall. And look at Spook Dubs closing in on not a Super 86, so McLaren versus Aston Martin. And we did have a chat before we went on air as all Spook Dubs hits the wall with the right rear fender. This Aston Martin, okay, yes, it's a twin turbo 4-litre V8 front mounted engine that everyone knows that Aston Martin has a welcome tie-in with Mercedes with their road car division as well as their Formula 1 division. But Spook Dubs again, you can see like as soon as they kiss the barrier, it's that little kick up the concrete dust as the paneling hits the concrete at a big rate of knots.
Is that a broccoli spear on the side of that?
Well, It might be.
That's what it looked like. I'm not sure what the reference is that, but yeah, Spook Dub's the only one brave enough to jump into the Aston Martin here for the first week after the Aston Martin came out for the GT3
Yes,
cars
you're
last
right.
week.
You're right. It is a broccoli spear, and that broccoli's a few millimeters away from being scraped off that paintwork. The way he's going at the moment, if he keeps on trying that. Yeah. Well, I've got a good friend who runs in the Porsche Sprint Challenge Series. A good friend of mine. Who's nicknamed the Broccoli Man because he doesn't like broccoli. Ethan Isher, you get a shout out.
Well, why do they call him Broccoli Man if he doesn't like broccoli? Is that like being called
Well,
tiny
no,
when you're
no,
like
no.
400 pounds?
It's a nickname between him and the team at Sportec Racing who run him. And they decided at Monza to give him when we were there for the 4th round of the season because his livery is like part of it's one of it's yellow, one side is yellow, one of it is bright green. So what they did was they put well, you can put these on the respective body panels, and you can see the color coordination. Again, Zach just grazing that wall again. I think I've lost count of the amount of times that Zach has grazed the wall here tonight, but we're coming up to 20 minutes in, and Sean Dickinson's doing a really, really stellar job at the moment. He's pulled away from Nosovin.
And actually,
The gap is now 2.3 seconds.
Oh, I thought that was simply Steve on the back of Nodden, but it's actually the lap car of, I believe that is Pebble. Yep.
Pebble, who's now running down in 20 seconds. So 2 retirees, I'm afraid, ladies and gentlemen. Beaver retires on lap 10, and Squilliam retires after turn 1, lap 1. Be good to actually see that replay once we've concluded this race, Chris, but we're seeing some really, really good close battles. Spook Dubs has been caught by Pancakes, and Zach is there. Now did Zach just hit the wall? I think he did with the left front. He went way too deep into that corner.
We'll take a jump back here real quick and see if we can see what happened there to Zach. Let's see here. Oh, with the left rear again one more time. I'm surprised he got any rear body panels left on that car right now.
Yeah, I think if that was the United Autosports car, I'm sure that Zach Brown and Rich Dean will be calling him straight away saying, hey, calm it down. You know, you need that car to finish the race. But we haven't seen any pit stops as of yet. Probably around about the 30 or so minute mark, I would imagine. They want to stretch the fuel as long as they can. I mean, the good thing is with regards to what we're seeing with Pancakes and Zach, they're both following Spook Dubs really, really closely, and Zach's going to get a double toe, which means both he and Pancakes are going to be able to use less throttle to accelerate the car out of the corners and just keeping in that dirty air, but not too close, because sometimes, as we both know, you get that front end imbalance that can really, really cause a big old chunk of understeer, and exactly what we saw with Beaver when he went dive bombing up the inside of Zach and ended up finding the escape road and then returned to garage and ended up calling it quits for the night.
Yeah, it's really easy to drive into these corners just a little too hard. Oh, you know, and you basically, like you said, you're causing the understeer in the car by just driving in too deep, locking up the brakes, and Beaver was the perfect example of that earlier. But well, it looks like, you know, these guys run a lot of practice throughout the week, and it looks like a few more laps here. They ran 20 minutes in this race, and it looks like most of these drivers are starting to get the handle on it. But I think here we see Sector bouncing off the wall as well, so we're seeing there's a lot of paint on this concrete going to be left after this race. But yeah, we're going to see who can get to the end of this race, and I guess keep all the fenders on the cars before this is over with.
Yeah, you're probably right. Keep the fenders on the car along with the paintwork to boot, but Zach's definitely abusing that left rear fender on that McLaren 720S GT3. And nearly. Well, he goes, and now he's got teammate Sassy about 2 seconds behind. So we're now again going to see from Zach's onboard. Again, yeah, that car's suffering with understeer. It's that dirty air that he's getting, that Zach is getting from Pancakes up in front, and now Pancakes has gotten away, and because of those 2 moments that Zach has had, Pancakes now has a pretty easy nigh on 1 second advantage. But as we know that when the 720S GT3 was introduced to GT3 racing as a whole, it was nicknamed the Torque Monster because it had over 700 Newton meters of torque from that M840 4-litre twin-turbo V8 that stuck right smack bang in the middle of the car. But again, Pancakes is now being caught as Pancakes glances the wall with the left rear fender.
And so does Spook Dubs. Spook Dubs is like, I saw what you did, Pancakes. Let me show you how to do it here.
Yeah, I'll show you how it's done in the Aston. I've got a bigger fender on the left rear so I can make it work. And now Zach is closing in on Pancakes out of turn 2. Can the McLaren get the slipstream on the BMW on the run down here to the 90 right at turn 3? They are going to be hard on the brakes. And as we saw earlier on from Beaver, you don't want to go in too hot into that part of the circuit. And Zach is looking every which way but loose at the moment and is really close, nearly up the rear diffuser of Pancakes as they go into the far part of the circuit for this nice little run down into what will be turn 7 as they're going through. So it's going to be through this left-hand kink, and then it's going to be hard on the brakes. Turn it right into 7, bump over the curbs. Zach's right side wheels go and get a little bit of air underneath them, but through 8, now into 9, you can see that Spook Dubs, Pancakes and Zach are not that far apart from each other. Through out of turn 11, Zach nearly could have nearly put the frighteners on Pancakes. He's trying to do exactly the same to Spook Dubs just in front. Now through into 12, into 13. Now is the run across the line. It's a short shoot up to the start-finish line here at Belle Isle. And again, look at Pancakes closing in on Spook Dubs heading into turn 1. Can the 481 BMW get through on the McLaren? No. But that was a big hit on the wall for Spook Dubs, and Pancakes has just taken complete advantage. And here goes back to the inside here at turn 3. And Spook Dubs has no other opportunity but to give Zach enough racing room. Pancakes and Zach demote Spook Dubs within a corner, down from 7th to 9th as well. Well, that's one of the Porsches. I think it's Hoosier Dallas trying to get out of the way in the number 12. As we are fast approaching the halfway point of this race here, Chris, we've got some absolutely cracking battles on our hands. We've got Zach versus Pancakes and Spook Dubs. That's for P7. Battle for P10 behind, though. Jen and Sassy and Sector are battling away. Sassy leading the train from 10th to 12th position on the grid at the moment, and it was very, very close that Sassy was about to get past Jen. Well, Jen was about to get past Sassy. Quick blip between the pair as Jen got a nose ahead. But Sassy in the number 55, 720 Iron Brew car keeps a hold of that 10th position at the moment. This is really, really good that with this kind of close proximity circuit when it comes to the barriers, you also get some really, really good racing starting to evolve. And now as we hit 3 minutes to go before the halfway point of this 60-minute race, I think there's, anything here at Belle Isle could happen.
Oh, for sure. There's still a lot of time left. 32 minutes left to go in this race. There is, heck, we could have a whole different top 3 before it's over with. But I've been watching Zach here for most of this race, and I thought he was going to, he's charging to the front here, but he kind of ran into a roadblock here with Pancakes. Zach's up 6 spots after starting 14th. And I think most of this race, he's had a little better pace than Pancakes, but just not able to get past. And I think he's used his tires up. As you can see, I'm actually losing a little bit of ground to him now in that BMW. But Spook Dubs, like we talked earlier, the bravest, the only one out here decided to jump in the Aston Martin. And it looks like, he was running strong early, but about halfway through this race, it looks like he's struggling a little bit with that.
Yeah, also one of the big things I heard from one of my good friends from another series who's actually the race director. He said, I tried the Aston out completely different kind of mentality that you've got to have, because the Aston Martin has got shorter gearing in comparison with the rest of the cars on the field. So the Aston, in that case, will have a better, a better acceleration. But then on the longer parts of the circuit, when you get to that kind of top end where you're grabbing for every single mile an hour on the speedometer, the Aston Martin, with a shorter gear ratio, is naturally going to struggle as a direct consequence when it comes to outright top speed. And of course, it's early days. The car's only been out for a couple of weeks through the season 4 week 13 iRacing updates that happens every single year. As now, it is going to be very, very close indeed, because Zach is pretty much with, well, no, that's Sassy that's now caught up. And you rightly said there, Chris, that Spook Dubs is starting to struggle on that Aston Martin, and maybe might have to decide whether he's going to pull into pit lane, as this is going to be very, very close. To the outside goes Sassy on Spook Dubs. This is a battle for P9. Sassy just getting really, really close and near to the rear diffuser of that Aston Martin. I think Spook Dubs is just fighting a losing battle in that Aston Martin as we speak.
Yeah, just dropping. Sassy blinking on and off right there, but yeah, Spooked Up definitely seems to be struggling. Sassy with a good run here, going to try to get that into the top 10. That might be one of the better finishes for Sassy here in quite a while, and especially if she can get if he can get around Spooked Ups here and looks to the inside right there. Not quite. You can see, and like you were talking about, you see the acceleration from that Aston Martin off the corner. Sassy had a look to the inside, but Spooked Ups was able to drive away.
And now, in the meantime, Jen and Sector have aided a quartet of drivers battling over what is 9th position on the road. I think they've got a back marker. Looks to be a Mustang. In front might be Cardido. And if that is the case, then Spook Dubs is the first one that's going to be compromised by that car in front. We've hit more than the halfway mark, so let's run you through the top 10 rather briefly. Sean Dickinson leads the way ahead of Notovin. Simply Steve is rounding out the top 3 in the 23 car, and then it's the leading Mustang, the number 13 of Prince Adam, and good work so far by Eat My Dust from Norway in the number 24 McLaren, rounding out your top 5. Another McLaren in the form of Nota Supra 86 rounds out 6th, ahead of the BMW, the 481 of Pancakes, the 73 of Zach rounds out 8th spot, and then Spook Dubs in the number 58 Aston Martin, followed by Sassy in the number 55.
I think we had an incident back here with Jen.
Oh, and Jen was running so well, running just ahead of Sector, was running P11, now drops down to P14. And that Corvette looking rather second-hand.
Come back, take a look at this here real quick.
Yeah, this is going to be coming through the complex at turns 9, 10 and 11. And it's going to be through 11. What's going to happen here? Bumps on the curbs, car turns around, and a slight little kiss with the front bumper on the wall, and has to try and do a 3-point turn.
I also have an incident here with Corrido about the same time, right in front of them.
Oh, this is not going to be very, very good. Cardido through into the corner.
Oh, just
understeer, tags the wall, pinball.
It's tight. Oh, we got Dickinson diving down into the pits as well. Just going to hand Notovin the lead here for at least one lap.
So, pit stop phases will start to happen as we speak, because Sean Dickinson was running in clear air the whole time. Prince Adam jumps in to pit road in the number 13 Mustang. So, first 2 drivers to come in. Dickinson has now already been on his marks and up in the air for 10 seconds. And Prince Adam now starts his pit stop time. Nota Supra pits from P6 on the road, so that's going to promote Pancakes up the order. So Sean Dickinson, 20.3 seconds on his marks in the pit lane, and has just rejoined and looks to be in around about 4th position. So we're seeing a few pit stops. 20.78 seconds for Prince Adam. Spook Dubs, Not a Supra, and Sector are in the pit lane. So well, Joshua Spears is in the pit lane as well. Has already been in once tonight. So Joshua yet to hit his marks in pit road, and when he does, he'll be towards the end of the pit lane. And has just started taking on fuel, but Dickinson looking rather composed. He hasn't really put a foot wrong tonight here, Chris, and that just goes to show that with regards to winning a championship, you do need that all-important consistency under your belt. And the way that Dickinson has secured every single pole position, 9 from 9 so far this season, and is looking to get his 6th win in the bag here at Belle Isle before we head to Mount Panorama in just 7 days' time for the Crown Jewel 90-minute finale, which is a champion's pick. So, of course, the champion gets to decide a couple of tracks for the following season. And now the rotation continues. Simply Steve, Eat My Dust, Pancakes, Zach, all in pit lane. Promotes Dickinson back up into P2, but of course Notovin has gone on for another lap. We're on lap 24 with just under 20, or just over 25 minutes on the clock remaining. Jen now up into 11th position. That is behind Cat Daddy, who has just come into pit road. So Jen will cross the line, and that promotes the number 99 Corvette, the sister driver, well, the teammate of Notovin. So Jen doing a really, really good job, just trying to keep that Corvette Z06 GT3 R on the road. Dickinson now promoted up to P2. But the big question here is, when will Notovin dive into pit lane?
Right now.
The answer is now, 2 laps later. So Notovin able to keep an additional couple of laps worth of fuel in that tank could be the difference maker here on the pit stops. But it's all important as to when Sean Dickinson will cross that line. Notovin not yet stepping on the marks, does so now in pit road. Now Dickinson has got to do everything he can to try and close that gap. Will very shortly be coming across the line, just heading down out of turn 11 into turns 12, 13 and 14, and now he's across the line. Notovin is moving. Oh, he's got a back marker in front. That was, I think, Pebble, and it's going to be, oh, and Dickinson timed that to perfection. His outlap needed to be mighty, and he's just gotten ahead of Notovin. And the gap was next to nothing there, Chris Murphy. He was out and in front by 0.3 of a second. Was Dickinson. That outlap was mighty by the BMW from Sim City Racing. Awesome stuff.
I think Notovin had that timed really well. His pit stop was a little over, almost a second and a half faster than Dickinson. But unfortunately, I think it was that lap car that caught him. Just, he only needed another 1/10 of a second to come out in front of Dickinson. But well played there from Sean. Notovin tried to play the strategy game, but unfortunately just did not pay off for him.
But now the real race begins. Who is going to be the winner of the penultimate round of season number 11 for the Just Two Idiots Cup Series here at Belle Isle, the former venue of the Detroit Grand Prix for IndyCar and for IMSA. Notovin within 0.6 of a second. Corvette versus the might of the Munich propeller in the form of BMW. Sean Dickinson behind the wheel. We run on board with Notovin as they go once again heading down into the very tight parts of this circuit here at Belle Isle.
Yeah, I'm looking at
Notovin still keeping pretty good pace.
Yeah, I'm looking at that. I'm looking at that wheel, and we all watch F1 and all the dials and all the buttons on it. When I used to race, all we had was a pad in the middle, so you didn't hit your head on anything solid. So I couldn't even imagine trying to look at all those dials and buttons.
Well, at least you know that sometimes that steering wheel on a very, very basically laid out round thing that you steer the car with normally would just have a horn button that you could press to your heart's delight if you needed to, and then get told off by the team boss You know, like you were a naughty little school kid that needed to go to detention. But Jen has now pitted. Sassy out still. And pretty much everyone has done their mandatory pit stops. So what it is now here, Chris Murphy, is we have just 21.5 minutes until the checkered flag as Cat Daddy battling away with Tijish. And this is for 15th position at the moment. They come across the line. The Porsche using its wide rear haunches keep the car as wide as humanly possible. But out of turn number 3, Tijish might have an opportunity to get through. His right on the rear of the 992 Porsche as they head down towards turn number 3. Tijish to the outside. And that is never going to work at turn 3. You've got to try and look and see if you can go on the inside. Stay on the racing line and not let the other person get through at that particular juncture.
Yeah, I think what Tiga's trying to set him up there for too. Sometimes if you can get a little wider angle into the corner, make that driver defend to cut the corner off short. It gives you a little better angle through the apex, and you can get a good run off the corner. But it just didn't work. Didn't work well for Tigas. But you can see right here now got another run. But gonna still have to settle right back here behind Cat Daddy.
Yeah, and Jen has just received a black flag penalty, but look at Tijish. No, they make contact. Oh, Tijish, that was a move that was never going to work. And now Cat Daddy loses the rear wing, but that was on the infield section through turns 8 to 10. Gonna have a look at the replay. So go into 7. Tijish with a head of steam switches the outside. Cat Daddy defends, leaves the door slightly open. That was not on. I'm sorry, Tijish. That was a move where the gap was firmly being closed by Cat Daddy, and the number 97 Mustang, I think, will be incurring the wrath of race control after that.
Yeah, Tigas, I think he saw that opening down there on the bottom. Tried to jump in there. It's kind of what we talked about earlier about being patient, but also being aggressive, and just a little too aggressive right there. Saw the gap down on the bottom, went for it, but just could not keep the car down, tucked down on the bottom of the racetrack, and unfortunately pushed up into causing that contact. So, it was a good race going right there, but unfortunately, I think you're right. I think Tigas is going to be talking to the stewards before this is over with.
Meantime, recovery drive and a half. Let's head down to 11th on the road at the moment. Joshua Spears has been absolutely ripping his way through the field like a good. He's up to 11th position, and I think realistically, well, you can say that Sim City Racing, with the way that Sean Dickinson has been masterfully controlling this race, he's got a 4.1 second lead, 4.2 second lead over Nosovin. I think if Joshua Spears picks up another position or two by the end of this race, then that might be enough for Sim City Racing to secure both titles. The drivers with this man here, well, not with this man here, but with the man up in the lead position in the field, who's making his way through back marker traffic. Sean Dickinson showing good prowess here. As well, there is Cat Daddy, Don's rear wing. That car's going to have a big rear end aero imbalance, especially
that's going to be a handful.
He tries to go. Yeah, that's got to be the tail end of that car's got to be wagging more than a Dachshund's tail on a good day when it wants a belly rub. But yeah, the good thing is Cat Daddy staying out of the way, knows that it's Sean Dickinson, does not want to cause any problems in a man who is very close, about 18 minutes away from securing a 6th victory, and with it, I think will become the J2ICS Season 11 GT3 Sprint Cup champion. It has been a pretty good run. He's taken 5 wins so far this season. Dickinson, I think, will have done enough once we see that famed black and white checker here on the streets of Belle Isle at the Grand Prix course. Dickinson has not put a foot wrong all night long here, Chris. And you can just see, as they say, smooth is fast, and it is with this man here.
Yeah, and Sean's won 5 races out of the 8 so far, and he's really not that far away from having won all 8 races. He lost the race at Daytona, decided to start from the from the pit lane on that one. Ended up finishing second. Was leading the race on the last corner at Brands Hatch. Ran out of fuel. Squilliam took the win away from him there. And then at Sebring, the last race out, gotten involved with an incident with his teammate Joshua Spears on the first lap. So without just a few little mistakes or a few little things here and there, Dickinson could have won all 8 races this season. But like you said, he's just Mr. Smooth.
Yeah, and that's consistency. It's a bit like Alain Prost when he was given the nickname Le Professeur, because he knew that he wasn't the fastest out there, but if he had the right car underneath, the right team around him, and also that little bit of know-how, using the grey matter with all the streetwise common sense, like thinking, okay, I need to secure this amount of points here, as Notovin just batters the wall with the right rear fender of the Corvette Z06. But Notovin, I think, won't be ashamed of being second, but will rue the day that he didn't go on the offensive earlier against Sean Dickinson, and that can be a big thing here. Right, looks like Spook Dubs has retired after lap number 22. Pebble has rejoined in 20th position, so out of the 23 runners and riders, we have got 3 retirements. So we've got Spook Dubs lap 22, Beaver on lap 10, and Squilliam on the opening lap of this race, where the Lamborghini Huracan got sent into a tailspin, the back end hit the wall, and the rear bumper, and maybe a little bit more damage than that, has caused Squilliam, after 3¼ minutes down in pit road, to retire the car. But now this is the battle for 7th and 8th. So we've got Pancakes and Not a Supra 86 trying to do what they can, reference getting some all-important points on the board.
Yeah, as we switched
and
over.
Everywhere.
Yeah, switched over. Super caught the wall. I don't think there's anybody on the racetrack right now that hasn't got at least a little bit of concrete on one of those quarter panels.
I think you're right, and it's normally on the left side of the front or the rear fender, depending on how they approach the corners. Not a Supra trying to close down in on Pancakes. This is the closest battle we have on screen at the moment. Not a Supra taking nearly half a second out of the 481 BMW M4 GT3 Evo, just up ahead. But we are into the final quarter of this race, just under, or just on, for the 14-minute mark left to run till the checkered. There's still, I think I've got that feeling in my gut, to be honest with you, Chris, that there could be something lurking and waiting in the wings for somebody. I don't know who, I don't know when, I don't know where on the track it's going to happen, but I've got this strange feeling about it.
Still a little drama left to come, you feel? I think you're right. I mean, it's you're an hour into this race. These guys, and most of these drivers practiced for probably an hour to an hour and a half beforehand. So they've been in their rigs for a long time. They're getting tired. And there's with so little room for a mistake here at Belle Isle, it would be easy to lose your focus and make a mistake here late in this race.
So Sean Dickinson leading the way by just over 4.3 seconds as we hit 13 minutes to go. So give or take, let's say it's 10 minutes.
I think they were expecting maybe 41 laps, so that's...
I would say probably quite close to that. I was thinking about another 9 to 10 laps until, well, until we see the checker. But we will see the white flag first on that precursor to who is going to win this penultimate round of this 11th season of the series.
Yeah, the one gap I'm looking at is Simply Steve. Right before those pit stops started, he'd actually closed up on the back of Notovin, but unfortunately has now dropped back about 14 seconds off of that battle, just kind of running around here in third, just on a race of his own. But you can see Prince Adam lurking back there in the background, so it wouldn't take much. Just a slight mistake from Simply Steve, and he might find himself off the podium.
Yeah, and Simply Steve running in the McLaren You've got Prince Adam in the number 13 Ford Mustang. Trying to close on in. The gap between them is about 2.6 seconds or so. Meantime, Lotta Supra trying to get back on the offensive against Pancakes in the number 481 BMW M4 GT3 Evo 2. Again, back marker traffic. They've just got to be careful. They've got it's like an all singing, all dancing, all action based game of chess right here. If you had that music from, like, say, Indiana Jones playing in the background, for instance.
Yeah, we talked earlier. Pancakes kind of being the bottleneck for Zach. Zach found his way around. Now it's got not super. So one more time, Pancakes on the defensive, but this time it is not super trying to get around him for that 7th position.
Yeah, well, Sean Dickinson is about to come over the line to complete lap number 33 of this race, and there he goes across the line in the number 64 SimCity Racing BMW M4 GT3 Evo. He's got an over 4.6 second advantage over Notovin, and they pretty much matched each other on lap times on that particular occasion. Simply Steve still holding the fort for McLaren. The top place McLaren in this field started on the inside of the third row and has made up 2 spots. Meantime, Sector in 9th place is there. We see Notta Supra being bottlenecked by Pancakes once again. They come out of that corner and it's going to be the acceleration zone up the gearbox through into the right-hander and then in again to another right-hander, which will then bring them down towards the final few corners. On. Yep, right-hander after right-hander. So it's a quintuple right-hander when you take turn 11 through to turn 1 on the next lap. It's 5 right-handers in a row. You just got to carry that speed and momentum through. Just under 10 minutes remain on the timer. So we're probably looking very soon that it's a short lap, as we've said around this circuit. 1 minute 27.7 is the best lap by Dickinson, as not a Supra 86 gets very, very close to the wall coming through turn. I think it was a little bit earlier on in the lap, but it was very, very close indeed. I think that might have been through turn 7, but more to the point that yeah, Dickinson is pulling at least a 0.2 of a second advantage per lap over Notovin. And there you see in front, that is, I think that is...
Get Zach?
that's, yeah, I was trying to see if I could spot the Iron Brew livery on there. But we're now on to lap 35 with just round about just under 8 minutes to go, and that is Zach in front. So Zach is only 1.2 seconds in front of the battle, Brewing behind him for 7th and 8th position. And in the meantime, Sean Dickinson is 60% of the way through this 35th lap as Zach crosses line and is 7.8 seconds behind Eat Me Dust. At the moment, the Norwegian in the McLaren. So at the moment, we have BMW leading Corvette, leading McLaren, leading Mustang, leading 2 further McLarens, leading another BMW, another McLaren, 1 Corvette, and a McLaren in the top 10. And that is 50% of the top 10 here at Belle Isle, with 8 minutes to go, being in the top 10. So 50% of the top 10 being filled by Woking's very, very finest. Then we've got 2 from Munich, 1 from GM's operational base, which I can't remember when it comes to their racing division in the US, and also Dearborn, Michigan. Of course, the home. This is effectively a home track for Ford, and Prince Adam holding the Blue Oval's flag high with pride in 4th spot at the moment, and is only 2 seconds behind the McLaren of Simply Steve. But we ride on once again on board with a certain Mr. Not a Supra 86, but Prince Adam there in that very green and black Ford Mustang. Very much reminds me of the Team Ava livery of the Neri family in British GT. not too dissimilar, bright, just as bright a colour, but a different kind of layout on the livery for Prince Adam. So 7 minutes to go, and Nottavin finds himself 5 seconds behind Sean Dickinson, who's counting down the seconds. Nottavin getting a little bit close to the walls, has lost a little bit more time. Last time round, while Dickinson did a 29.164, Nottavin a 28.894, so was just over a quarter of a second quicker. Not a Supra 86 trying to get through on Pancakes once again for that 7th place, as Zach is just up ahead of them. Probably looking in his rearview mirrors going, haha, thank goodness that is not me as the McLaren behind that Mustang, because even he realises that it's a tall order to try and get through, but not a
Look to the
Supra.
inside.
Might be trying to give it a go.
A nice defensive move there from Pancakes, moving over to the outside. Not really. Oh, a little bump there.
Pancakes in the barriers. And, oh dear. Not a Supra is another driver that's going to be seeing the headmaster after that one, I'm afraid. And that is just over with round about 6 minutes remaining on the timer. Good thing is Pancakes has managed to get going again, but we're going to have a look at the replay here. Bumps straight into the back of the BMW, and Pancakes is a passenger. And that is not going to go well. The left rear gets quite close to the wall.
Actually, that's an earlier contact. Here comes the
earlier contacts, and here's the second bit, and Pancakes, absolute passenger, right rear, bang, rear bumper askew, flies off the Beamer.
Let's go back and
Think not
take
a super. Yeah,
another look at
yeah,
that.
I think to be honest with you, there was a slight open of the door by Pancakes, and not a Supra thought, move might be on here, and then ended up just
Looks
slam
like we're back
dunking
to
into the
live
back
here.
of the.
We'll go back here one more time,
Yeah,
but it kind of
yeah.
looked to me like Pancakes on the brakes just a little bit harder there, getting in the corner. I don't think Super anticipated this hard braking coming up into the corner here, because you can see that he's closing up really quickly on him. Yeah, unfortunate contact. It was good. We had a really good race going on right there. Unfortunate contact. We also have Sector with an incident here. We'll take a look at this real quick. And that's actually behind Pancakes as well.
Yeah. So Pancakes. Oh, let's hope. Let's see what happens here. Sector. This is coming out of turn number 2. Pancakes just loses the back end, and Sector's got nowhere to go. Oh, it's all gone horribly wrong for Sector, and that car was stationary on the wall. And we now have 4 minutes remaining. Dickinson is 60% of the way through lap number 38, so looks like we could be close to having around about, I would say, yeah, we're on lap number 38, so yeah, I think you're right. We'll probably have 41, maybe 42
It looks like we have
laps. So
looks like Pancakes with a black
Dickinson
flag as well here.
Oh dear. So that's probably incident point limits being hit. So that's an automatic drive-through penalty through the server. So Pancakes is going to pull the car into the pits. Now, is that car going to get a fast repair? I think might have just gotten one. Yeah, fast repair initiated by Pancakes, who was doing so well. But I think not a Supra. It was more than once bitten. It was twice shy, because there was a first contact that Pancakes managed to control. The second impact, however, that was a very, very different story. Sector is now in pit lane as well, and has just initiated a fast repair. Joshua Spears, however, has profited by the misfortunes of both Pancakes and Sector, and that has put the number 84 into 9th place, and is closing in on Sassy. Now, could this be the possibility that with 2.5 minutes to go, that Joshua Spears, if Joshua can get past Sassy in the number 55 Iron Brew liveried McLaren 720S, could that possibly be provisionally enough to, I think, maybe seal the team's title? Because Dickinson is on course. He will have a big lead come the end of this race. And when you think about it, how the Drivers' Championship at the moment stands, is that Hayden Fowler, don't think has had a good one, but it has been the fact. It has been the Sean Dickinson show, because Dickinson's not put a foot wrong all evening. Notivin has closed that gap up to around about 2.8 seconds with what will be 2 laps to go. So we're on to lap 40. There's some back marker traffic in the form of a Mustang just in front, and Notivin will want to clear that rather quickly, and does so rather nicely too.
Carrito doing a good job just kind of moving over out of the way there for him. Knows it's not has, you know, it's not his fight. Just let Notivin go.
Yep. I completely agree. Completely agree. But Joshua Spears closing in on Sassy. The timer is counting down here at Belle Isle for the penultimate round of season number 11 for the Just Two Idiots Cup Series, brought to you courtesy of Parabolic Companies. But yeah, it is a case, can he make the move before the checkered? That's going to be the big thing, because now, very shortly, we will be going on to the white flag lap. Sean Dickinson, 75% of the way through lap number 40. So it will be one more lap remaining, as Dickinson is getting closer and closer to those final few corners. Spears and Sassy. Here goes Dickinson, and it is going to be a run out of turn number 14, and we go on to the white flag lap with 20 seconds to spare. Sean Dickinson has not put a foot wrong in the Sim City Racing BMW M4 GT3 Evo, the number 64. 9 pole positions and 5 victories so far in this season, with 1 round to go. Dickinson's also had 5 top 7s, 5 top 10s, including the 5 victories that he has had so far this season. He's got, I think that is going to be Sassy just up. Spears versus Sassy, still in the battle for P8, as the timer has elapsed. We have gone over the 1 hour mark. Sean Dickinson 50% of the way through the 41st and final lap of this race. But let's concentrate on the man of the moment. He has really been a tour de force this season. 9 pole positions, 5 wins, one of 4 different winners so far this season. Dickinson goes underneath the Continental tyre bridge, and then it's going to be the final push towards what will be an emphatic checkered flag. Pebble gets a black flag at this point, but what can you say? It's been masterful, it's been magical, as out of the next couple of corners, it will be the checkered flag. Sean Dickinson picks up his 6th victory of the season, and will that secure him the overall driver's title? Notivin finishes 3 seconds back in P2. Simply Steve, who has sponsored this race, calling it, if me and the safety car make it through turn 1, the D Grand Prix, and has got a big window between himself and Prince Adam. Corndog finishes in 10th, Jen in 11th, ahead of Yomega. Tigrish rounds out the top 13, but we still have this battle here. Joshua Spears versus Sassy, the last few corners. Joshua Spears trying to look through at turn 9. I'm afraid that's not going to work there, neither at turn 8. But could it be the run out of turn number 11 underneath the Continental Bridge for the final time out of turn number 11? Let's see who gets the traction down better. It looks like Sassy has kept the back end of that vehicle as wide as an 18-wheeler articulated lorry, but Spears is going to go for it towards the line. It's going to be the run to the checkered. Who's going to get it? It is going to be Sassy that's going to pip Joshua Spears, who's going to take P9 after a disastrous opening corner at the first lap. But what's more, could that be enough for Spears and Dickinson to help Sim City Racing not only secure provisionally the driver's title here in season 11, but also the team's title here in season 11, because they had amassed a significant lead coming into this race, and it was 137 points. And to be honest with you, Chris, I think both titles are pretty much in the bag for both Sean Dickinson and for Sim City Racing, after a very interesting And some people might say processional, but very, very close battles here at Belle Isle. But Sean Dickinson, the man of the moment.
Yeah, Shaw definitely just outpaced everybody, put it on the pole, and I think he was. Joshua Spears and Squilliam might have had something for him if it hadn't been for that first lap incident. And actually, why don't we go back and take a look at that real quick? If I can, let me see here if I can find it. Here we go. So we'll find that first lap incident one more time. Squilliam there started second. Joshua Spears there in third as they head down into the second corner on the opening lap. And unfortunately, a little contact there between the two is going to send Squilliam hard into the retaining wall, and that ended his race right there. Joshua Spears with a good job recovering from that, getting back up into ninth. But
Yeah, I mean, it was a case of there was an initial contact between Squilliam and Joshua Spears, and then it was the second touch that pushed the Lamborghini hard into that retaining wall on the outside of that opening corner and just showcased how difficult it was going to be around this circuit. But I think with all the, yeah, I was going to say we have got some people standing by, so let's start the post-race interview show here at the D Grand Prix, sponsored by Simply Steve. But let's bring in Nosovin first of all. Nosovin, firstly, that was a very, very challenging race for 60 minutes here at Belle Isle, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was pretty difficult. It felt like the most difficult part was the lap cars, to be honest.
Yeah, that's the big thing with Belle Isle, because as soon as you hit that back mark of traffic, you're between a rock and a hard place. You don't know whether to go for the move or wait until they decide to let you through, and that can make all the difference. But still, a pretty good finish at the end of the day, finishing in P2, having started on the outside of the second row. But Sean was going to be a difficult man to catch tonight, wasn't he?
Yeah, I kind of knew that. I felt like my quality pace wasn't quite where it could have been. I had a kind of a rough lap, but I think I had the pace on him, and I think we had basically the same pace. At the very end, he kind of started to pull away from me, but we were pretty damn even basically the entire race. It was just the lap cars that really made the difference. I had one exit. Or I left the pit lane with one right in front of me, and that kind of cut out the overcut because I feel like without that I maybe would have had him. And then we had someone rejoin in an interesting manner that also lost me quite a bit of time. But overall, I'm quite happy with the pace. I felt like if we didn't really have that, may have been a more interesting race. But oh well, it is what it is.
Well, hopefully things might be a little bit different at our last venue in just a week's time when we head to Orlando and under to Mount Panorama, the home of the Liquid Molly Bathurst 12 Hours. Are you looking forward to that one in the Corvette?
I've never really driven that track in GT3. At least I've never driven this track at all. But at least Bathurst, I have a little bit more experience. But I don't know. We'll see. I think it'll probably shape out pretty similarly to this track because the walls are so close at the top of the mountain. But it's a little bit higher speed than this, so your mistakes are a little less unforgiving. But I don't know. We'll see how it plays out.
Brilliant. Well, thanks for taking the time to talking to us in the post-race interview show. Before we let you go, Nodovin, anyone you'd like to give a shout out to tonight?
Yeah, I'd like to give a shout out to the night racing boys. Jaden, Bozak, he used to be my teammate. He made the setup, and it was pretty good. It handled the bumps pretty nicely, and it kind of enabled us to kind of be near the front. And then Jen for kind of keeping me company throughout the race, throughout all my kind of aggravation with the lap cars. It seemed like, but overall, just like to give a thanks to my team. We did a pretty good job, I think.
Brilliant. Well, congratulations on the runner-up spot in the race tonight here at Belle Isle, and we'll see you in 7 days' time for the season finale for season 11 at Mount Panorama.
Yeah, thank you.
So a big thank you to Nodovin there. Let's bring in the man who has won his 6th win. He's taken 9 pole positions from Sim City Racing. Let's welcome in Sean Dickinson. Sean, a magical, masterful performance around the streets of the Belle Isle Detroit Grand Prix circuit. How are you feeling right now?
Well, thank you. I feel pretty good. I feel like I got lucky with the timing of the pit and there being a lapped car exiting at the same time as Nodovan. Otherwise, this might have been a completely different race because of how difficult it is to pass here. But overall, it was fast. The car was good, so I was able to stay consistent.
Yeah, I think you sort of catch in your rear view mirror what was happening behind you between your teammate Josh and obviously what happened with Squilliam going into T1 because you put the pedal down to the metal. Squilliam was trying to keep it to keep it close to the wall, and then all of a sudden he's got Joshua up his inside, and then he's hard on the barriers. We could have seen a very different race here tonight if Squilliam had gotten through that opening lap.
Yeah, definitely. I did see that, and that was my biggest worry was Squilliam. And then once that happened, I haven't looked at the incident. I plan to. I don't know if it's a fault or if there's net code or whatever. I'm not sure. But yeah, I did see it in my rearview mirror, and there was a little bit of relief that because that car was gonna be fast around here. So, but glad he was able to get it back together. He got up into P10, or P9. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, also it's been a pretty good season for you so far. And we think this is. I'm not going to say it's an assumption. We think that you might have wrapped up the driver's title with 1 round to spare, possibly.
I think so as well. It's either that or it's really, really close. Like I would have to score nothing and not even would have to win with the bonus points. I think that's what it would come down to for him to take away the first.
Yeah, so we're not
So
going
I'm
to
happy
let
with
you.
that.
Yeah, we're not going to let you crack open the imaginary celebratory champagne because there's still one more round to go. We've got Mount Panorama Bathurst next week. Of course, you and Joshua were in the Mustang, but switching to the BMW has really been a good solid choice, especially with I think it was who was it? Spook Dubs was the only person that had the gall, the guts to go for the new Aston Martin that's hit the server. What was the choice? What was the decision to go for the Beamer instead of keeping with the Mustang?
Well, the Porsche, BMW, Aston, and Mustang all had BOP changes. Oh, well, technically the BMW is updated car and Aston was new. So we just tested all 4 of those, and we do like front engine cars more so than anything else. So we've done the Beamer before, and it looks like they did fix the problems. And at all 5 tracks, I think I did, where I tested all of them fixed, the Beamer was by far the fastest and the easiest to get there. The Aston and Mustang were trading blows, but more than half a second of pace a lap slower, with me driving at least.
Mm.
So
That's,
that's why we
uh,
picked it.
that's interesting to hear that. But of course, we've got the season finale for season 11 next week at Mount Panorama. It's a crown jewel event, 90-minute race and a champion's pick. How do you think the BMW is going to fare around there?
That was one of the ones I tested. It was actually a second faster than the Aston and the Mustang around that track,
Well,
and
that that that
surprisingly
that,
comfortable.
that sounds ominous for next week. But Sean, congratulations on your. You've literally swept the carpet from everybody's feet with 9 pole positions in a row. Your 6th win of the season, and you've got one hand effectively on that drivers' championship trophy. How do congratulations on getting to victory lane here tonight at Belle Isle. Anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Yeah, thanks you guys for hosting. I got to say thanks to Pancakes and Josh helping me build setups and test the car to make sure we get it dialed in since it's the first time we've driven it in a while. And thanks to the guys at SimCity Racing and then my mom and a few friends watching the race.
Brilliant. Sean, well done tonight. We'll see you next week for the Bathurst season finale for season 11.
Yeah, I'll see you guys then.
Right, well, I think we've got time for our final interviewee, and that's going to be the man who provided the apt title. I hope me and the safety car make it through turn 1, the D Grand Prix. It's simply Steve in the booth. Steve, good evening.
Good evening to you.
Well, how was that? P3 started on the inside of row 3 itself. Nice way to wrap up the night in the McLaren.
Yeah, I mean, I love Belle. I sponsored it. I love this track. It's super fun, technical, different. Unfortunately, we don't come like IMSA doesn't come here in real life anymore. But yeah, super fortunate to get out of the first lap. Ironically, some people did not make turn one, as the safety car did not in 2018. It's unfortunate, but yeah, I mean, I had a bit of a generally sleepy race. I was racing Adam, trying to keep him behind. We weren't doing anything wheel to wheel, but just trying to keep it together, manage the traffic. Uh, I don't have anything exciting really. It just kind of happened to fall into P3. I think it would have been a different race if the folks didn't crash on the first lap. It would have been quite different.
But still, nevertheless, a podium is a podium, and glad to hear that you're smiling like the Cheshire Cat from Alice in Wonderland at the moment. But of course, we go to Mount Panorama for the Crown Jewel 90-minute event for the season finale next week, and of course, it's also a champions pick. How do you think the McLaren's going to do around there, around that iconic circuit?
I feel like even though we've just done a whole season, I still don't really know what the McLaren does well. But I think it'll do all right. The car feels good. Like the recent changes from iRacing, like McLaren still feels pretty much exactly as it did before, which I thought was good. Feels responsive. Maybe not the quickest thing, but I think like Belle Isle, Bathurst is a lot about survival over the course of the 90 minutes for the Crown Jewel. So I'm pretty optimistic. And it's super nice to have my teammate back as well after some time away. So.
Fantastic. Well, simply, Steve, thank you very much for the imaginative Grand Prix title and also for sponsoring this race. We look forward to seeing you next time around for the season finale at Mount Panorama.
Thank you so much. Shout out to my girlfriend Natalie and my teammate Lucas. Always there.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Simply Steve. We'll see you next week for the season finale. Right then, on that note, that rounds up our post-race interview show here at the Just Two Idiots Cup Series, brought to you in association with Parabolic Companies. There are your results. So, of
Helps
course,
if I
we've
get the
just
top for you.
spoken.
There we go.
Yeah, we've got. Yeah, we can't forget the top. So, Sean Dickinson, 6 wins out of 9 races, 9 pole positions. He swept the board with that. He's the best qualifier out of everybody. Not a been in second, and Simply Steve, who you just heard from, the sponsor of the. I hope me and the safety car make it through turn 1, the D Grand Prix. Thank you to Simply Steve for sponsoring tonight's race. Prince Adam, Eat My Dust, Zach, Not a Supra, Sassy, Joshua Spears, Corn Dog round out the top 10, followed by Jen, Yomega, T-Jish, who was also in the mire a little bit earlier. So was Sector. Garlic Dog rounded out your top 15 on the road. And then it was Pancakes, Cat Daddy, Corrido, Hoosier Dallas, Pebble being the last of our classified finishers that did cross the line laps down. Spook Dubs retiring on lap 22, Beaver on lap 10, and Squilliam retiring on the opening corner of the first lap. But really, Chris, it's been a bit of a spectacle here at the Detroit Grand Prix, the old Detroit Grand Prix at Belle Isle. It's been wonderful to revisit this circuit, but next week we head to a land down under as we take a look at the start once again, where we saw the tussle between Joshua Spears, who came back to finish in 9th, and there's the contact that puts Squilliam as a passenger into the retaining wall on the left-hand side. The back end, an absolute mess, a shadow of its former self, and the left rear wheel up into the bodywork. It was game over for the number 1 Lamborghini before the race had really gotten started.
Yeah, we knew this was going to be exciting. Get on these street tracks like this, these street courses. There's just no room for mistake, and unfortunately, a few mistakes by a few drivers, and they paid for it dearly. Squilliam looked to have a good run here tonight, but unfortunately, out there on the first lap, Dickinson with another great run. Really looking forward to Bathurst, one of my favorite tracks that I've ever raced any kind of sim racing on. So looking forward to see how these drivers handle that track there as we head off for next week for the season finale.
Yeah, so really that wraps up our live coverage, but a little bit of housekeeping from our side. Thank you so much for watching the JP Broadcasting Network. If you haven't already, please like this video, share, and subscribe whilst you're at it, and hit that notification bell because we've got so much coming up over the coming days. We've got Radicals, we've got Super Formula Lights, we've got TCR, we've got GT3, and so much more. On behalf of Chris Murphy, my name's Alex Goldschmidt. Thank you so much for tuning in for this edition of the Just Two Idiots Cup Series, brought to you in association with Parabolic Companies. And more to the point, we will see you same place, same time for the Crown Jewel 90-minute Champions Pick finale. Bathurst. We'll see who will be our winners and also our champions in season 11. Until next time, race hard, race fair, and if in doubt, well, you better go flat out. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time, folks. Goodbye for now.